Hi guys, welcome back to L003. And today we're talking about the battle of the remote viewing streaming wars. And I want to remember to say welcome back to US Dollars Place, bought in cash here in Florida. It's a beautiful day. Uh, so there's two big streaming services currently right now, remote viewing, and that'll probably change over time. But I'm noticing that the viciousness between the two are getting a little bit worse. So what I'll see is you'll see this guy come up and talk about prison planets and stuff like that. And then this guy will run ads and say, no, it's a free will ad and blah, blah, blah. And you can tell it's almost like this guy does a project and this guy does a project on top of it. So to me, it's pretty clear they're battling for some kind of narrative. Why? Why? What about this has to do with remote viewing? I don't know. I wouldn't take it very seriously. So what I think is happening is I think this group is smaller than this group, and this group's been around longer. I think this group is trying to take a run at them. I think there's probably more talent over here, and these guys are doing their best. But I think that's a big part of why. Now, if you ran a social experiment in the field of remote viewing, you'd see it would be fascinating because there is this cultish, I've talked about this before, personality. It's a cult, it's a system of religious veneration and devotion directed toward a particular figure or object. Again, we're talking about the battle for the narrative here. These guys are fighting over the audience, getting a bigger audience to believe the shit that they're talking about that they can't prove, either one of them. So I'm not siding with either one of their topics. I don't think this is really science. I mean, like, like this topic. So, because neither one of them could really prove this either way. So, but yet they fight it with this fervor. And it's very much, to me, it's getting to be, it's like this is turning into like Scientology. That's what it's reminding me of. So my advice is to be mindful of this behavior and do your best to ignore it. The other day I had mentioned that on Facebook that the evolution of consciousness is going to be whatever method you have on paper, you have to have the ability to integrate that method into your own mind and remote view from there without the rigor of the paper. Okay. Like Joe did, like Pat did, like Ingo did. And because like if there's ETs, or there's evolved consciousness out there, they're not using HRVG or CRV or Prue's method. They're not using those. They're doing it internally. Just like telepathy, they're not breaking out paper So for us as human beings, it only makes sense to me. That's the level that we need to be aiming for, right? So then I get a student of Prue's gets on it. No, you're wrong, and this. And I'm like, whoa, complete newbie behavior, and it's okay though because it's common. That's kind of how students will. The thing is you go and you get trained remote viewing, and the magic's all in you. They're just kind of showing the steps to tease it out. When that happens, people get kind of mesmerized and they jump out in front to defend the method that they learned as if it's some kind of personal thing. And even though they didn't create it, which I was the same way. It's just it's but so what I'm telling you is it's probably more confusing than it's ever been for people just getting into remote viewing now because of all the different methods and stuff. So my advice to you would be to ignore it. You just choose something you want. Whatever you do, don't go out there and die on the cross to defend your methodology because it's going to cost you. And be open-minded, okay? Because believe me, not everybody has the whole picture, all right? And until they figure out what better actually means, it's a moot point. You know what I mean? So again, if you're like fighting over methodologies, to me, these are like children. And then I'm sure Ingo is the same way. He probably looks at them like kids, idiots. So it's really easy to slip into this cult like behavior. And you don't, I'm sure people that have been in a cult, they don't realize they're in one until it's too late. So um, so I wouldn't get too wrapped up about this stuff. To me, in the field of remote viewing, it's gotten so commercialized that we're losing sight of things. You've got organizations that just get you together to take your money for teaching. You've got streaming service that just try and get your money for streaming. There's no real, I mean, there's not a whole lot of real projects. I mean, there are. I've been involved in some, but there should be more projects like promoting the study of consciousness. This is all commercialized BS, you know. So again, if you go get remote viewing from somebody, and you don't go in there. Because like I said, I ran in. I was talking to somebody and they were just laying themselves out, just defending their method, and they sound like an idiot. And it's not really her fault. Like I said, she doesn't really know any better. My best advice to you is when you learn remote viewing, you start learning, keep your mouth shut until you've got some years behind you, until you really figure out what's going on. Because if you longer you stay in it, the perception of things change. It gets clearer. So you got these organizations trying to put themselves in a position to be a judge or be some kind of authority in the field of remote viewing. They have no work themselves to speak of. Public, you know what I mean? Like they're just trying to put themselves in some kind of position. So, and again, a lot of this stuff spurs up from the old guard, like the old CRV guard, because most of the remote viewers out of that unit, and you can look up the sessions, were novice at best. I mean, my instructor, I think, was a novice at best, remote viewer. And you, like I said, you can look them up. That's why they don't. That's why they don't do many sessions now. They just teach because they can't compete. Like with some of these, like what I'm doing and what they're doing, like they can't compete with that. Or they could, but they don't. They haven't worked hard enough to get to that level. So, but anyway, there's a lot of jealousy and stuff spurred up from the old regime that kind of has been this catalyst, and it's just been going on and on and on. So, just something to be mindful of, guys. You got to ask yourself these questions, like why they're doing this and why they're behaving like this and this, that, and the other. My advice to you, like I said, would just be to try and to ignore it. But I guarantee you, most of the instructors today aren't very good at this because they haven't done enough remote viewing. They're too busy trying to rake in the cash. So it's something to consider, guys. Just be careful. You don't want to have this cult personality. You want to try and be better than these guys, or the past of these guys, their students, people they're affiliated with, and the old guard from the Stargate group. Like I said, and I was trained by the Stargate group, but or some of those teachers, but just honestly, they're novices, remote viewers. They're not very good. It's just a fact. It has nothing to do with the method. It's just they're not very good. So anyway, I want to keep this short. Just you're going to see this get worse. I think there's going to be more streaming services. There's like one or two others, but they're not very good. So good luck. If you need remote viewing done, you can get on my site. Please subscribe to the channel, guys. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. Share the content, and we'll catch you next time on Owl 003. All right?